We're going to State College sometime this week, and we're getting skipped around. It's exciting.
So he gets the first question.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Joey Brown. I'm with Congressman Bill Schuster's campaign.
Oh, cool.
So I've been in contact with some of your board. Yeah, that's all we're going to say.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Joey.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Glad you can make it.
Absolutely. I'm going to be honest. I got another event on the other side of the state, so I don't know how long I can stick around. No. Okay, it's like how it's like 3 hours.
Hello. Hey, Gary, of course. Hey, nice to meet you. How'd your Thursday go? Good. Yeah, real good. Yeah. About 50 people. Yeah. They did similar
Are you guys part of the organization crew here?
Yeah.
Very good.
How you doing? Pretty good. Good to see you.
Oh, really?
Nice. You're a good point. Oh, that's right.
We got about 7 other things to do tonight, so I'm going to be in and out a little bit. Absolutely. Senior night over volleyball game. Field hockey game.
You got presidential duties.
Well, our trustee meeting is right around 12:30 today. So we got a lot of fun. I'm glad we're hosting this.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited. We have our
Receiver, Mark Sager, and Scott Walton. Yes, I heard that. So, just a question. So, who is ultimately deciding whether or not you can participate? I'm not sure. I didn't get involved. That was always the most part of it. So, but who do you ask to not knowing?
So the heads of the Republican and Democratic.
Oh, so we decided?
Yeah, well, just because we didn't, we were concerned just because of the
How you doing? Is it being videoed? Like it's gonna be on YouTube later?
Yeah, well, it's being live streamed right now. We are going to record it. I'm going to talk to the folks that are running this. I do want it to be on YouTube later on. Potentially it will be.
Okay. What's the live stream address?
You can go on the threads, unique person.
If the rule.
Do you want to have it in my email? And I can actually email it to you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. I have it.
And it would make sense for it's all.
Yeah. So it was just
I've been living with this for like 4 months, yeah. You know, it's funny because half the time I don't even notice it anymore, which is kind of sad. Just make sure it's still laughing. I guess it's working. going, President? How you doing? I'll send it over to you right now. All right, thanks. You got it.
I think they all make it the same. They all make it the same chair.
They're all the same? I made an effort. That's good.
There's a sign there.
Yeah, she has a sign.
I think because well once you
I like you, by the way.
if when it goes all the way down, if once you say stop, you don't have to press clear. It goes back up to 130.
Well, they need, she needs 2 minutes, and then she needs 1:30, and then she needs 30.
It's true.
So,
Okay, yeah, then just do the phone and then the thing. I just bought it just because I was looking for time. They didn't have it.
hi, Kitty.
How's it going? Good. I'm the one who's sitting out.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for all whatever you're doing.
How come?
Yeah, that's fine. But you said you just show that you're gonna make a bowl of that, and they don't say stop. I don't see the sign. Yeah, you do, not on the first second one, obviously, but yes, because that word will back up. Maybe we can find a chair with no arms. Another chair.
Hello there, and we'd like to welcome you to the Huntingdon County Commissioner debate. My name is Roberto Toro, and I'm the president of the Juniata College Republicans. And next to me is the president of the Juniata College Democrats, Nicole Wyatt. And we're very happy that all four candidates have agreed to come to this debate, and for taking time out of their very busy schedules. And they are here to talk to us about their plans in helping this county if they are elected. And we have Robert Sieber, Jeff Thomas, Mark Sather, and Scott Walls. Also, our moderator today is Dr. Deb Roney. She is the public policy chair of the AAUW, which is a nonpartisan group, and an assistant professor of English. She has lived in Huntingdon County for 27 years. Our timer here today is Julia McMurray. She is a sophomore here at Juniata College and a member of the AAUW as well.
All right, so once again, thanks for coming. The rules of the debate, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, an introduction. The order of that was randomly decided, and it's going to be Robert Sieber, Scott Walls, Mark Sather, and then Jeff Thomas. The order of the questions, it's going to go from left to right, and it was also randomly decided that the first question would go to Scott Walls. So basically it's going to go Scott Walls, Robert Sieber, Jeff Thomas, Mark Sather. Then throughout the debate, the person who gets the first question is going to move over one to the left, so then the next question will go to Robert Sieber and go down the line. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statement, 90 minutes for, 2 minutes, 90 minutes, not quite, 90 seconds for and 90 seconds to respond to each question. We decided that the first person who answered the question is going to get a 30-second rebuttal after each question, just to follow up on anything or respond to anything that any of the other candidates say. Then at the end of the debate, there will be closing statements, which are going to last 2 minutes. You'll notice that on all of your chairs there are index cards and pens. Those are for you guys to ask questions as well, because we wanted also just, if you have any other questions that you want asked that we don't get to, or there's something you're curious about. So we have runners in the back, if y'all could raise your hand real quick. If you could write your question on your card and then just kind of hold it up, they'll run and bring those to us, and then we'll in turn give them to Deb for her to ask. So so it's just so it includes some audience participation, just in case we didn't think of all the questions, or you have something in particular that you want to ask each individual candidate, or just a question for everyone.
So you're also to the candidates, to the audience, and to you all. Since I'm using the timer on my phone, you will have a 30-second mark prompt. One time I'll probably have a vocal prompt at that point, but just like close this for time.
Yeah, and then candidates also, obviously, please listen to her and don't go too far over time. Those are the rules. Once again, thanks for coming. And
Very much. On behalf of AAUW, I too would like to welcome our candidates and all members of the audience, and thank all of you for taking part this evening so we can make informed decisions at the polls. As outlined in the opening remarks by Mr. Toro and Mr. Cole Wyatt, each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce himself. The order of introduction, as you know, was just drawn earlier this evening. First, we will hear from Mr. Sieber.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Juniata College and the Young Dems, Young Republicans for hosting this event. I know these things take a lot of work. I'm very happy to see young people here tonight. Since my entry into this contest this past April was triggered in part by my concern not only for the young citizens of Huntingdon County, but also my interest in young people in general. My 35-year career in education and my continued work with young people in my community, as well as my running for this office, are simply a mark of my desire to serve. In regard to the youth of Huntingdon County, statistics show that while our population has remained relatively constant over the past 25 years, our school populations in many communities have shrunk, so. The average age of the Huntingdon County resident has risen above the national average. The average age is now over 47 years old. Additionally, a higher percentage than average of our workforce commutes and leaves the area to work, sometimes going for a long 1 or 2 hour drive and often coming back, or sometimes very often staying for the week. This puts a lot of pressure on our families and our work. I believe that one of the conservative mindset, which is prevalent in this area, limits our thinking, frequently giving the here and now precedence over tomorrow and the future is a path to stagnation. Being conservative and forward-thinking are not, by definition, compatible concepts. They never are. So thank you very much, and I look forward to the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sieber. Now, Mr. Walls.
Good evening. I want to thank Junior High College, Young Republicans, and Democrats also. Thank you for hosting this event. I come before you tonight to ask for your support and your vote to be one of your next county commissioners. I'm seeking the office of commissioner because I believe I can bring two major philosophies and strengths to county government. First priority being sound conservative management of your tax dollars. And secondly, I will demonstrate a strong passion for economic development and jobs in this county. As for the budget, I will work with all county agencies to find the most effective use of your tax dollars while maintaining productivity. I will work hard to hold the line on taxes. We can find savings and new revenues. They should be used to hold the line on taxes and not automatically used to increase spending. As far as economic growth development, we need jobs in Huntingdon County. Work, it's about work. It's about competition, marketing, and networking. It's about listening to other points of view, coming together and moving forward. It's about our hardworking, honest, and talented workforce. What can we do? The simple truth is, if we continue to do the things the way they've been done, then things will remain pretty much the way that they've been. We have to engage with existing businesses to help them maximize their development potentials. We must work tirelessly to market our resources. We must take a regional approach. What are others in the region consuming and producing, and how can we capitalize on that? We must determine how we are perceived by outside interests and work to change our negatives and build on our positives. The commissioners must provide the leadership to work with HCB&I and Southern Allegheny Planning Commission to develop and agree on strong, precise language to let those officials know what we need from them. It's about identifying and capitalizing on opportunities. Someone once said, great opportunities never go to waste. There's always someone else waiting to benefit from the ones we miss. If you remember only one thing about me tonight, remember this. Whether it's saving their tax dollars or job creation, I don't want to miss a single opportunity for Huntingdon County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walls. Next, Mr. Sager.
I'd like to also thank Juniata College, Roberto, Juniata Republicans, and Nate from Juniata Democrats, and also taking the initiative to host this debate. And thank you to Dr. Deb Rooney for moderating here tonight. I'm here to introduce myself tonight as a candidate on the ballot for the Huntingdon County Commissioner. This is a position that I know what is expected. Huntingdon County Commissioners are elected to a 4-year term and sit on boards for various number of agencies. A commissioner is the fiscal manager and steward for the county funds, providing leadership and direction. The county commissioner is your voice in representing the county and attracting new business or to locate or expand in Huntingdon County. Who is your choice to represent you? I am a lifelong resident of Huntingdon County, was born in Huntingdon, and progressed through the local schools to graduation in 1977. While supporting a family and working for Wise Markets, I earned my degree in business administration from Juniata College in 1981. The experience I gained in business development enabled me to travel extensively and provided me with the tools and contacts to benefit the county as an advocate for job creation and business expansion. I am 55 and I've chosen to live and raise my family in Huntingdon County, knowing that the area provides an excellent environment for families. I live in McConnellstown with my wife Beverly, who is a home health funding, access roads, and building better communications, including broadband, expanding internet access. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and remember me when you vote on Tuesday, November 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. Sather. Mr. Thomas?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. This might be a bit repetitive, but thank you to the young Dems and young Republicans in Juniata College. It's been an honor to serve as your county commissioner for the past 4 years. I've worked diligently full-time in this position. I previously worked in the field of telecommunications. Quite a difference from the field of telecommunications and government. I worked with fiber optics where things traveled at the speed of light. I get the speed of government. That was the hardest thing to adapt to. When elected commissioner, I chose to resign from my position to devote my full-time attention to the job of county commissioner. I believe that it is a full-time position and the taxpayers deserve that. Being commissioner is not a 9-to-5 job. I work in the office each day, attend meetings, and in the evenings I travel to county, attending meetings and functions wherever I'm invited, and showed the last week. I've been available to all residents of the county, in the office, by phone, or on the street. I serve on multiple boards in the county and in the region. I've been elected by my peers to serve in leadership roles in these organizations, not only in the county but regionally. This benefits the residents of Huntingdon County. I've made many contacts and relationships in Harrisburg and Washington, D.C. that has enabled the county to secure grants and funding. I have prior government experience, serving on borough council for 16 years. This gave me working knowledge of grants, budgets, and funding requirements. I'm a resident of South Hollow Borough, graduate of Southern Huntingdon County High School, and attended Brightco Technologies, where I received many certifications from ETA for fiber optics and communication. I've been married for 34 years to my wife. We're the parents of a son, Matthew, and 2 grandchildren. My first priority is to make Huntingdon County a better place to live, work, and visit. It was in 2011 when I was elected. It still is today. Re-elected, I will continue to work with the other commissioners to move the county forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. The Juniata hosts of the event submitted 2 questions to the candidates in advance. As you heard earlier, the initial responder for the first question was chosen at random before we began. All other candidates will have the opportunity to respond in order from your left to your right, with the first responder offered the opportunity to make a brief follow-up statement or possibly rebuttal before we move on to the next question. The order of response for the second question submitted in advance and all questions that follow will rotate 1 position each time to be fair to all candidates. Each candidate will now have the opportunity to answer the first question, which is, what is your economic development strategy? First person to respond will be Mr. Walls.
As I said at the beginning there, we have to work hard to market our resources that we have in the county, our existing businesses. We have many sleepers in this county who do a lot of good things, and we have to make sure that we are developing them to their maximum potential. We have limited highway accessibility here. I was out a couple weeks ago talking to an investment banker, and he said, I'm just going to be straight with you. I'm not talking about this is what I'm saying right now. I'm not criticizing any individuals or groups. But he told me Huntingdon County is not a place where I look to for economic development. He said, you don't have a single 4-lane highway. And then he looked at me and said, I'm sorry. And I said, no. We need to know what people outside see in the county. He said that you have railway that is underdeveloped. You have a beautiful college that is underutilized. Those are the things we have to work to develop. We're working with Bill Schuster and the other representatives to possibly put together a rail summit here in Huntingdon County. We'll get Bill Schuster, regardless of your politics, as head of the Transportation Committee in Harrisburg. And if we get Norfolk Southern up here to get all the players together and see what the possibilities are for our rail sidings, what they would do, what we would have to do to get them to use them. Another thing is biomass. A couple of school districts, Northern Bedford, and some other local school districts that are switching to biomass. Ben Thompson sits on the Natural Resources Committee, and some of those schools have saved over $200,000 a year on their fuel. And that's a local resource we can utilize.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Mr. Sieber.
Thank you. Economic organizations like Pop working together. And we have to realize that we are in competition with every other area in this state, indeed in the entire country. One of the problems that Huntingdon County faces, in addition to things like infrastructure, is image. I feel, and talking with other people around the state and local businessmen, that some of the events of last year, namely the election of the 81st District Representative, created a negative image for Huntingdon County. One of the things I believe that we need to do is to change that image. And I think that that is a possibility. That is something that needs to be explored. And what I'm referring to, in case you don't get the idea, is I think we need to look at the possibility of creating a total LGBT non-discrimination policy for Huntingdon County. I think that will give us attention on a nationwide, and at least a statewide basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Thomas. I'm sorry, Mr. Sather.
Thank you. Workforce development. We are a county that has resources available to us for additional job skills, skills development, and we have the talent here to bring in additional businesses and expand and attract new businesses. Several of the resources that we have available: Du Bois Business College, Penn Highlands Community College, Juniata College, Career and Technology Center, now going into the skill set of offering CDL, and shortly through Southern Allegheny and additional development going into diesel mechanics. So these are the tools that we have available to attract. Now we're looking at the Keystone Opportunity Zones and enhancing that, and looking at that and cooperating in a public-private partnership with individuals and corporations like IMC, which is Innovative Manufacturing Center. They help and enhance and bring in public and private dollars toward business improvement and expansion. Along those lines, we talked about the infrastructure, access roads, 89, but I briefly talked before about the superhighway, expanding broadband that's not available in typically underserved areas. That's available through Kinberg and through Penrand. That's an agricultural association that allows us to go out into the commercial environment, bringing in and enhancing new businesses. That's a public-private partnership. These things can be done, and it takes cooperation and working together to accomplish that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Walls, would you like to make a follow-up comment?
No.
Okay, thank you. Each candidate will now have the opportunity to answer the second question submitted in advance. What do you believe?
Excuse me.
Yes? Oh, did I miss you?
I didn't have an opportunity
My apologies.
to give an answer.
I'm lost in my list.
Those that know me, I'm not shy.
Good. My
I
apologies.
wasn't sure about the rotation. I hope I'm not on the clock yet. Okay. And if you noticed, I'm not shy. I will speak up. So.
Good.
Okay. Thank you. Strategy for economic development. First, the commissioners must show leadership and financial support. By leadership, I mean they must serve from organizations such as Southern Alleghany's, HCD&I, the Chamber, and show strong leadership. Financial support by appropriations to these agencies and helping secure funding and grants so these agencies can get to where they need. We need to think outside the box and work with Southern Alleghany's and others. We're looking at a global economy now, not only just regional, but global. We should globally now, even out of Huntingdon County. It has been touched upon about the road system in Huntingdon County. Yes, we are isolated. We have a beltway around us. We live in the Appalachian Development Highway System. I testified before the Pennsylvania Senate Transportation Committee on needing a comprehensive plan 2 years ago, and they passed a comprehensive plan, Act 89, which has been a huge impact to our county on safety improvements, improving Route 22. There's also, of course, right now, we've just submitted, I'm Vice Chair of the Rural Transportation Coordinating Committee. We submitted Route 453 and 522 to the National Highway System. If they're approved for the National Highway System, that will bring additional funding in for those highways. That will give us a link from Water Street up to 99, and from our business park down in Mount Union to the Turnpike. We have the KOZs in
Thank you very much. And my apologies again for skipping you. Each candidate will have an opportunity now to answer the second question submitted in advance. The question is, what do you believe to be the biggest obstacle facing Huntingdon County today, and how do you plan to overcome it? The first to respond will be Mr. Sieber.
Thank you. The obstacle, first of all, Huntingdon County faces many obstacles. To me, I still believe that the main obstacle is a combination of attitude and image. A lack of infrastructure can be overcome. It's not something we have direct control over. We can't force the railroads to stop more often. We can't force the government to build 4-lane highways. We cannot do these things by ourselves, and to rely on the same congressmen or state representatives to give us help who have been in the office for many years and haven't done those things is not a viable option. The first thing I believe we have to do to attract new business, new industry, new people, is create a much stronger image. I've already put forth one idea. Another idea is to increase our ideas relating to the tourist industry, to bring more people into the area, to show them what we really have, and to show them who we really are. Very often they get a wrong impression of this part of Pennsylvania. And I believe that's something that we need to change. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. I believe jobs is our #1 priority in the county, and I believe we've made significant progress in the last 4 years. Workforce development programs that has a huge impact on retaining and keeping businesses here. We've revitalized the PEP organization, Partners for Economic Progress, which brings all these partners together. And one of the things I'm very proud of in the last 4 years is in the Partners for Economic Progress meeting, held at the Huntingdon Career and Technology Center. That's where the CDL program came from. And Huntingdon Career and Technology picked that up in the CDL program down there. And as a last report, which was just a week ago, that's 100% placement with local jobs. On the workforce development end, we're constantly working with them. We're working with Southern Alleghenies right now with Huntingdon Career and Technology for a $2.5 million expansion, assisting on them to bring new training into the area. Highways is an obstacle to all this. Of course, everyone's priority is Route 22. Route 22 becoming a 4-lane highway. Now we have to come back to reality and realize the funding isn't there to do that and take the steps as of 453 and 522 that I outlined earlier. And one we do not want to forget is telecommunications. Telecommunications, a lot of people work at home now. Mark hit on a very good point there. But to get the communications in here, you have to have the population.
Thank you. Mr. Sather.
Thank you. One of the obstacles we have and one of our goals is attracting new business and expanding upon the businesses that we have existing. And what that encompasses is access to the infrastructure. Infrastructure today is more than the 4-lane highways that we've been talking about. Access. We're looking for Act 89 to provide access. We need access roads for the logistics to get products and services to and from market. But also the infrastructure on the communication side we talked about. Broadband, access to through Kindler, which is a Keystone Innovative Network Broadband initiative to serve underserved and utilized areas that don't have the broadband capabilities that a lot of other organizations and regions do within the U.S. One of the things that we have to do in terms of the cooperative effort is to coordinate between regionalization, those sources that are available to us, including local, which is HCBI and Southern Alleghenies Planning and Development, but also reach out to other organizations within CEDACOG, which is an adjacent Southern Economic Development Authority. Cooperative effort is going to help the region in a total. So again, looking at things that we can do, we put things together, and working together, we can accomplish much more than we can work as an independent individual or an independent entity. together, working, we can accomplish the goals before us.
Thank you. Mr. Walls.
Thank you. I think it all comes down to leadership. As I've traveled this county, further away you get from the county seat, there's a disconnect in the county. A lot of people don't feel like they're represented. You go in the shade gaps in those areas, they just feel like they fall off behind the county. If you go up to Warriors Market Day, I think they would rather be home in Summer County. And we have to work together to get something done. You build strong communities, you can build a strong county. County commissioners aren't in the office necessarily, have to be conduct business every day. Should be a full-time job. Whenever you're done doing your business on Penn Street, get over the river, beyond the river, and go visit all the constituents, all the taxpayers. We have to maximize our grant potential. I advocate hiring a grant writer that works directly for the commissioner's office. We tell that grant writer, if you make enough administration fees to pay your salary, we'll keep you. I would like to have them focus on 2 areas, grants that actually employ Huntingdon County people, and/or grants that could be applied to bringing the budget down directly to the line items. I partially agree with Bob about working with our other elected officials. We have, through redistricting, we have 2 U.S. congressmen, 2 state senators, and 1 state representative who wield a lot of power. I think it's the commissioner's job to push those folks. They come here and they're not reelected. I think we need to make them earn their keep. That requires leadership. We can all disagree without being disagreeable. Things we agree on, let's come together and we find the county forward.
Thank you. Mr. Seaver, would you like to make a follow-up comment?
Yes, I would. As far as relating directly to the statement that I made about our representatives, our congressmen, I actually thought that was their job. I thought their job was to help Huntingdon County because we are their constituents. They have done a few things, but not nearly in regard to the amount of authority. For example, Mr. Schuster's very high up in the seniority ratings. His father was there before him, and everything seemed to have gone elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now proceed with questions provided by the organizers of this event and by the audience, shifting the first responder 1 position to the right each time. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer, and the first responder will then again be offered 30 seconds to provide a follow-up remark. So our first question is, what is your experience with preparing or authorizing budget cuts? And our first responder will be Mr. Thomas.
I've been working on a budget for 16 years at South Borough, last 4 years at the county level. Right now, we've sent requests out from the department heads to look over the budget. Every year, there's a wish list that comes back. And it'd be safe to say that every year, we cut nearly $1 million out of the budget for what the requests are coming back. We do this to efficiency, and the thing about working on the budget is we've learned how to generate revenues with the use of the UPI, Unified Parcel Identifier. We have put in place different ways and grants to plug in numbers to help meet some of those requests. Perfect example, the renovations at the courthouse is supposed to cost $1.5 million. We completed that for $400,000. Our phone system in the county and internet, every building was on their own separate phone system. It took 4 years. We finally got it all completed, being on one system, one internet, saving $30,000 a year. It's a tough job to decide between the needs and wants, and that's what the commissioners do. And every year, since I've sat there, we have cut over $1 million of requests out of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Saban.
Thank you. As far as the budget, as the assistant director of AIS, previously where this building was housed was a night home. I served as the assistant director of AIS Administrative Information Services. At that time, in April, we did preliminary budgets and then proposed and did our actual budget in the fall at the end of June, starting the new fiscal year, which was in July. Budget cutbacks and recommendations to make the departments run smooth and within budget was always the goal and is still always the goal. Later, I developed those same skills and traveled extensively through the U.S. as a project manager for wireless deployments. In the wireless deployments, you won or lost a project based upon how well you managed that project. So in doing so, I can successfully say through McKesson, we did healthcare installations. So it allows me to go from education into healthcare and maintaining a budget and maintaining a profit line while at the same time providing needed and services that are actually used and deployed throughout the U.S. in healthcare and education.
Thank you. Mr. Walls.
Thank you. Obviously, I've never been commissioner and managed the county budget. My current job I've had for 32 years. I'm a sawyer. I mean, you know what that is. I'm responsible for production of lumber. You have to constantly watch the commodities market. They pay a certain price for standard timber, and if the market changes, you have to change your strategy to get the most money and profit out of that product. My wife and I also own a company called Keystone Industrial Supply. It's a small business. My wife mainly is the bookkeeper and does most management of that company. But together we work on keeping that company afloat, and it's a task whenever the economy fluctuates and different things like that. You have to make money when you can, and whenever times get lean, you have to manage it the best you can. I've been a trustee for 3 terms at the Community Chapel Festin and corporate secretary for 1 term, and we're trying to build a new building right now. It's costing me $4 million, and so we have to be pretty frugal to try to save money to do that. So while I don't have budget experience like city commissioner do, I am conservative, and I believe we have to have efficiency in government, but that doesn't mean we spell every department that's necessary. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sieber.
Thank you. My experience, as you might have noted, was 35 years in the education field. That meant that each year, requests came down when it came close to budget time, and you had to make a determination on which materials to buy. We did it at our school. Primarily, we started by department after department. So each department had to work within its own budget. Frequently, we were asked to cut 10%, 15%, 20%, 30% or more. In addition to that, I also spent time as a union member, as a member of a negotiating team, negotiating contracts. I was union president for 6 years. And when you negotiate contracts, you look at school district budgets. School district budgets are almost the equivalent of a county budget. And you rely on people who are good at budgeting, who are good at mathematics, to find places where you can work with. I assume one part of leadership is the delegation of finding the right people to find the information for you, in addition to looking at it yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, would you like to make a follow-up comment?
30 seconds, correct?
Yes.
Working on a budget is quite difficult. A lot of folks won't like to hear this. This is your best estimate for the year. It's a working, living document. A lot of the funding in the county budget comes from the state budget and the federal budget, which are of different cycles than the county budget. So that presents a problem. Just an example, our first year in office, 12-15, they cut 10% of human service funding. So you're always adapting and trying to hit your best estimate, looking at the past, and trying to look forward to what you need to put in, because right now we have no budget for the state.
Thank you. Our next question is, if you have done everything to control expenses and need to raise taxes, will you vote to do so? And that question goes first to Mr. Sather.
Raising taxes is one item that the general public at large, and myself included, does not want to hear, and that would be the last thing you'd want to do. One of my opening statements was to keep an eye to the fiscal budget and the fiscal responsibility of
financial, watching that particular item with an eye and a concern for those that are on low and fixed incomes. Looking at that, to make a statement, if you can or cannot do at this point, have to look at it in terms of the light that it would be shown. At this point in time, I would have to say no. I would not be for any tax increases. However, I would like to look at that budget and what is causing these increases. Can they be maintained? Can it be minimalized? That is what we got to look at.
Thank you. Mr. Walls.
I'm not for raising taxes, that would be a last resort. We need sound financial management of our budget. There may be a time we would have to, but we have to do with everything within our power to maintain the county budget so that it's a workable thing for all county residents. We have a lot of elderly here, and we need to be conscientious, and we need to serve the taxpayer with humility. So that would be a last resort.
Thank you. Mr. Seaver.
Thank you. I said the other night at a previous debate that somehow some people get the impression that the purpose of county commissioners or congressmen or anyone else in government is that their sole purpose in life is to raise taxes. Keep in mind, taxes are used to pay bills. If your bills are increased and if you have cut the things that you can cut, some things you cannot cut back one. Some things are mandated by the state. It is necessary sometimes to pay those bills. If it were absolutely necessary, barring all other options, of course you'd have to raise taxes. If you don't, you find yourself in the same position the state of Pennsylvania finds itself in now, and the federal government finds itself in now. You cannot fund things. You cannot fund a government. You cannot fund programs indefinitely with no increase in revenue. Sometimes it's an absolute necessity, but only in that case. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
No one wants to raise taxes, so you need to come up with initiative ways to get funded. And that's something that I've been very proud of working with the Board of Commissioners the last 3 years. I mentioned earlier about the Unified Parcel Identifier. In the last 11 months, that's brought $143,000 into the county. Another big savings that we're hoping for next year, but it's too early to tell, is the jail. If anybody's been watching their jail population, we hit an all-time high of 130 in March. Right now, we're running about 70. That's a huge savings, several $100,000, if not upwards of $500,000. We also implemented aerial pictometry. That's estimated to bring in revenue for next year, $200,000 to $300,000. So, having said that, you always have to be initiative going out. There are other options besides raising taxes. We need to work hard, spend time in the office to find these things. Most of our budget is mandated, and we have very limited spending on what we can do. We must supply those services. I also sit on the Tax and Assessment Committee for CCAC, the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, for the last 3 years, where I have lobbied hard for either a sales tax or a personal income tax. That would, a sales tax alone in Huntingdon County would generate $2.2 million. It's not a tax reduction, it's a structural change which would benefit the seniors in Huntingdon County. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sather, would you like to make a follow-up comment?
I think as far as the rebuttal would be to maximize the resources that are available to us to minimize the expense. And why I say that is to look at those resources that are available to us in terms of the grants and in terms of the funding that we have available.
Thank you. Our next question, also from the audience, is the following. Recreation and tourism are not well supported in some quarters, yet those are seen by most people around the state as the region's main assets. How can can the county be more supportive of people working to expand hiking trails, park development, and so on? Or should they discourage further development? And our first speaker this time will be Mr. Walls.
I think economic development is a big puzzle, and there's all kinds of pieces you put in there. Recreation, tourism, those are all things that I think we should work hard to develop in this county. We have to, as I said before, seek out grants that are available. I pick up the paper and look at some of the grants, and I think, boy, that money there is just thrown away. If we don't take those grants, it's not going to go back to the taxpayer, unfortunately. It's going to go to one of the counties we're competing against, Center County, Dare County, Bedford County. So I want to try to maximize the grants we get here, but again, I want to try to employ county labor when we do get those grants and do the jobs we do. Again, I think it's all a big part of the puzzle. I know if you like the southern end of the county, the East Broad Top, we say whenever they have Thomas the Train or whatever it is that comes there, it's like a mini city. So those are the things that, again, the commissioners need to get out to the communities, talk to people, and see what they think they can do, and let's get together and do it.
Thank you. Mr. Seaver.
One of the areas that I had talked about earlier in the campaign was the development of a larger tourism industry in central Pennsylvania. Having spent a fair amount of time in other parts of the state, particularly Lancaster County and other states, Colorado in particular, I found that tourism was a large and growing industry. Here in Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania, we have many of the same things that these areas have. We do not utilize them to the extent that we need to. I was browsing some websites just the other day, and I came across one on the county website where I could go and eat at Grubb's Diner or M&M Restaurant. We need to keep track of this. I've been to places where you have brochures and information, and sometimes we find that we don't have anything utilized in this area. For example, Raystown Lake is under-advertised as an attraction. Also very crucial is the revitalization and getting up and running the East Broad Top Railroad. That is a key element in the southern part of the county. I know that because I live within hearing distance of the train. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Recreation tourism is very important to Huntingdon County, being our #2 industry. We have supplied and have retained many grants for trails within the county. But if you just watched the news recently, the 911 Memorial Trail now comes through Huntingdon County. That's a huge thing to bring business into Huntingdon County. They're also talking at the state level. It looks like if they pass, the hotel tax going to 3 to 5%, which will help promote tourism in Huntingdon County. We have the Pet Market Committee going out and about all through the county, reaching out to all 11 regions. Matt Price, with our Visitors Bureau, Executive Director of the Visitors Bureau, is part of that, along with the Planning Director. We have the Blueprint communities reaching out to see what is going on in the communities. We opened it up to the whole county to become a blueprint. 3 municipalities took us up on it. It was Mount Union, Shermansburg, and Mapleton. But as far as recreation and tourism, we need to continue to promote that. We have beautiful scenery here. We have Raystown Lake, and we do bring a lot of funding in, not only through the county grants, but through Southern Alleghenies and other organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sater.
And looking at our industry here, agriculture and our tourism are our #1 industries. And in bringing additional people in and talking to the Tourist Promotion Agency, Matt Price and others, for example, Dirt Fest, which is a white event. Individuals come in for Dirt Fest, it's a first-time event, then they see what other additional resources available, like the kayaking and the trails, the rails to trails, and expanding and enhancing that. And Jeff had mentioned about the 9/11 as far as the southern route. Southern route allows you to get to the Flight 93 Memorial. So things are happening here, and
expanding that. That's what the Tourism Promotion Agency is about. Continue to promote Huntingdon County for our Racetown Lake and areas within relative easy travel from there. Individuals will come, they'll stay, they'll bring their families back, they camp, they also explore other areas within rails to trails and hiking and kayaking and other events.
Thank you. Mr. Walls, would you like to make a follow-up comment?
You know, we're sitting here at Juniata College. It's underutilized, underpromoted as far as on the county level. You have students from how many states, how many countries. Their parents come here to visit. What can we do to take an inventory, so to speak, of what we have, a better inventory of what we have to offer here as far as economically and recreational, and give that to these students and their parents, and they take it home with them and bring some people along next time.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is this. We have heard from candidates for years concerning job creation. It would appear the usual ideas have not provided many new jobs. We need out-of-the-box ideas. Do you have any such ideas? And this question goes first to Mr. Siebert.
Thank you. As I said earlier, I'm of the opinion, and this opinion was reinforced in conversations with local business people and with business people out of the area, that one of our biggest problems is image. Image and attitude. The idea that I put forth earlier about a non-discrimination policy relating to LGBT individuals within the region, within the county, I think is a way to gain some attention at the statewide and even national level. It's a good business move. Most businesses have such a policy within their own organizations. They do not want to come into an area where they are likely to feel unwelcome, and they are unlikely to move into an area that does not seem open. The people of central Pennsylvania, it has been my experience, are generally exceedingly friendly. But we must admit that we sometimes give the impression that we are limited in the scope of who is acceptable to us and who is not. I think that one item might be able to help us get a foothold. It will become law within a few years. Let's get out in front and beat everyone else to it. Let's take it as an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
I touched on this earlier with the CDO program down at Huntingdon Career and Technology Center, which is a huge success. Also, working with the Huntingdon Career and Technology Center in Southern Allegheny, they're adding a lot of programs down there. Now, we're not written in stone yet, but diesel mechanics, electrical, plumbing, there's a whole magnitude of things going on. As far as what are we doing, we're doing it. We just received here in the last year a $500,000 grant through Jobs First into the 6-county region, which was huge. It helped employees identify needs, it provided job training, and it provided internship. So we are constantly looking at funding. And also, the open workforce investment boards have gone out. Now the feds have passed a new law, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. So with that will come some new regulations that we have to adhere to as far as funding the training also. Sitting as board president of Southern Allegheny, we are making sure that all our career links, the training facilities, are meeting the requirements from the federal government. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sather.
We had discussed previously, we do, in terms of how the workforce and workforce development, the skilled labor is available. To bring them in the spring, a very similar question had been asked by HCBI and the Chamber. My response at that time, we had, in the past, had to build shell buildings to keep and retain businesses in the area. Case in point would be Bonnie Forge today. That was a shell building set off of 522. Today, we have vacant buildings.
small ball. Instead of going to the plate and trying to hit a home run and bringing in a major corporation like SBI that had been here for a short period of time, we gave them the tax incentives. They stayed for approximately 10 years and then left. One of the things that I'd like to do is play small ball, bring in small to medium-sized businesses, singles, doubles. Those small to medium-sized businesses actually employ, on a U.S. basis, 70% of the employees in the business marketplace today. So, in looking at that, the analogy there, offering the additional and enhancing the Keystone Opportunity Zones and making it work for the businesses there in terms of expanding the broadband and the infrastructure in terms of the highways and the growth for access.
Thank you. Mr. Walls.
Thank you. You do tend to get what you expect. And in Huntingdon County, I think for far too long, many of us have come to expect 7 or 8% unemployment, that our children will be educated and move away. And I think we have to start believing in ourselves if we are going to expect others to believe in us. I think we have to improve our image. My father retired from almost pouring fiberglass. If you know the process there, they take a little glass marble and melt it down and make it into fibers. We have a whole world of fiberglass manufactured products right there. We have all the materials, technology, and know-how right here in Huntingdon County, but we do very little with it. I talked to Paul Geis, one of the owner investors with Huntingdon Fiberglass Products. They have a large rail siding there. He would love to get someone in there that could make large products that they could put out here and put on the rail. He's looking for a partner, and I think as commissioners, we need to try harder if we become a commissioner to do that. My boss employs 25 people. He doesn't dress up in suits, go to meetings. He doesn't hold any memberships in any of the business associations. Nobody really knows he's there. So as a commissioner, and I'm not in the office, I would go out and visit our small businesses again and ask them, how can I help? Just listen and see what we can do here.
Thank you. And Mr. Sieber, would you like to make a follow-up comment?
Just a follow-up comment relating to perhaps attracting new businesses. I was recently introduced to a company, a couple of small startup companies out of York County who do virtual reality advertisements, so that perhaps HCBI could look into this as a means of projecting what type of buildings we have available, because that allows you to literally walk inside a building without actually being there. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question from the audience. How will you make Huntingdon County more attractive for young, small business owners? And this question goes first to Mr. Thomas.
That's one of the things that if you look up Huntingdon County, besides the natural beauty and the people that we have here, you need other desirables in place. Through the years, Huntingdon County has cut their appropriations to the Historical Society, the Arts Council, and different things. You must keep these desirables in place to keep young people here. Telecommunications is a big thing. A lot of the folks now work at home. I know several individuals that work at home, and there would be more, but some of our areas, we are a large county, 845,000 square miles. There's a lot of the county that does not service, broadband internet. That was one of my first questions in office. Came out of Blacklaw. When am I getting DSL? Well, DSL has now been bypassed by Atlantic Broadband and Comcast. So we need to keep adding the desirables in Huntingdon County. We need to upgrade the telecommunications and just promote it as a beautiful place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sather.
Thank you. In attracting the young business owners today, in classification and bringing in additional businesses, the millennial generation is able to quickly adapt to any changing environment. Our environment that we offer here is one of vast resources in terms of family-driven communities and the the tourism promotion. We have these available to us. So to be able to adapt and change quickly is the forte of the millennial generation in terms of the young business owner. I would encourage that, open my arms to that, and offer any type of working relationship with HCBI. I sit on the board at the Chamber. One of the biggest things we do is the business after hours. It's a great way to network. Those resources are available to any of the individuals coming in. Become a part of the community. It's a growing community. Take a positive look for what is being done and what can be done. So one of the things we can do is keep pushing and keep attracting individuals. One of the things to do here is workforce development. The goal is to retain the skilled workforce. We see that in an exodus. The goal is to retain it, offer additional resources, and bring the people back in, promote the businesses from within. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walls.
Again, I think it's about promotional cooperation, working together. Again, we have this facility here, Huntingdon College, working with you young people, promoting the area, getting some of you folks involved to stay here and become entrepreneurs. We have a lot more for Huntingdon County. We have low taxes, low crime, high quality of life, clean air, recreation, and I just think we need to do a better job of promoting that. Technology, we need to do a better job to get up to speed here with our technology, our broadband, and things like that. That also attract high-tech businesses. We can, I had a fellow retired from the military the other day saying that a lot of people don't want to work in D.C. Why can't we try to locate a military office, small office complex here, and with the right communications, we can bring anything here. We don't have to be in a large city to do the work today. So those are the things we need to work on.
Thank you. Mr. Seaver.
As Mr. Thomas pointed out, and a lot of this had to do with the cutbacks in state appropriations, we are a lot of times shortchanging things like libraries, arts councils, historical societies, some of the things that make communities communities, that liven things up. Now, I visited a number of festivals like Oktoberfest and in Cassville and Arts Log Days, and these are the type of projects that require a lot of planning at the local level, and that requires that you have young people, because we are an aging population, and this is one of the things we need to do, retain young people in the area, because someone has to come along and do these things. One of the problems that we have, of course, it's almost impossible to gauge some of those problems and use them in a short time. Let's just take one. Funding of libraries. We have a Huntingdon County Library, but it's not really a county library system. That's unfortunate. It's something that probably we need to work on and we perhaps need to change. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Thomas.
The good news is we're not losing population in Huntingdon County, we're maintaining, but we are losing the young people, and what we're finding is the 55 and plus is moving back in. We have taken steps with the Blueprint community and the PEP marketing committee going to all areas of the county to find out what we can do better to keep and recruit these young people, because before long, we will actually need to bring people in to do the jobs, because the young people who are leaving will be nothing here but retirees. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question from the audience is directed solely to Mr. Walls, so he will be the only respondent at this time. During the Fleck-Irving election, you were Irvin's campaign chair. Irvin advocated heavily for pension reform. Do you share Irvin's views on cutting money towards pensions from the budget?
Thank you. I was Rich Irvin's chairman. I didn't set policy, but I do support pension reform. I would speak for Mr. Irvin here to support his views. He does not support cutting money for current state employees or retirees. He believes promises made should be promises kept. But whenever you have a $53 billion shortfall, and it's growing at reportedly $14 million a day, you do have to stop the bleeding. And so he's advocating switching from a defined benefit to a 401k style plan where you would earn retirement, and that would be for future hires only. That would slow down the bloodletting. So yes, I do support that plan.
Thank you. Our next question, also from the audience. How will you build a stronger bond between Juniata College and the rest of Huntingdon County? And this question goes first to Mr. Sather.
Actually, that's one of the things that looking at the quote town gown, or in terms of relationship developing entrepreneurs, we had SVS, Senior Value Studies, and one of the things that we, in the senior year, you had the opportunity to go out into the educational environment, working within the hospital environment, working into the continuing care environment, and looking and working within the community. I would encourage additional SVS type activities, whether it's coming from a club, whether it's coming from the individual. I know as far as sitting on the board at the Humane Society, Juniata and the Juniata volunteers are definitely needed and are available, and taking the dogs and for walks and things like that. They're very much a part of the organization and needed. In terms of entrepreneur, I would look for that. We had job fairs, and at the time we also did internships. Internships were either, at the time we were trimesters, so it was unpaid, but it was actually credited. So we worked within the business environment that allowed us to interplay within the community at large. We have a great opportunity here. Silk Business Center is the entrepreneur incubator. It is the halfway bridge. View it as a bridge to your downtown economy. That will allow that to expand and be enhanced. I would look for any of the students to encourage that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walls.
I also encourage people to get involved in entrepreneurship. Still Business Incubator. We have several empty shell buildings in this county that I think if you go to other communities with larger populations and greater highway infrastructure, they break it down and divide it into several agri parcels. I think that's something we need to look at if we find funding for our local shell buildings, and encourage young people to get the grants to come in and develop businesses in those. Somehow we need to refurbish our downtowns. Our tourists come into the area, they look for things to do after they get off the lake, and they come, and most of our downtowns are folded up in evenings. So there's a lot of buildings, and there's a lot of empty buildings there that somehow we need to find the grants to start these small businesses and encourage young people to get involved in entrepreneurship.
Thank you. Mr. Seaver.
Thank you. I'm not sure exactly where we went here. We had a question from Mr. Sather, and then Mr. Walls answered the same question, or a different question. What question are we asking here?
The question is, how will you build a stronger bond between Juniata College and the rest of Huntingdon County?
Oh, okay. Well, as Mr. Sather mentioned, he's a graduate of Juniata College, of course, and he's very active still with the College Alumni Association, I'm sure, as I am with my alma mater, which was Shippensburg, now Shippensburg University. I think the ideas he brought are very interesting, and Juniata College is one of the things that is kind of a gem here in central Pennsylvania. It's a highly rated school. It offers a lot of opportunities. I have a grandson who goes here, and hopefully I have other grandchildren who live in the area that may also attend here. Not to stray off the subject, but I would like to make a comment on something else if that's permitted.
You may. It's your time.
Mr. Walls mentioned something about the pension. I'd like to point out that our pension crisis is one that we created ourselves. Our legislature created it by not honoring their obligations. I'm a member of that pension system. The proposed pension reforms will not do one thing to solve the problem. And if something is not done, as far as bolstering the current system, it most assuredly will affect current and past employees. If the system collapses, my pension and the pension of approximately 1 million Pennsylvanians will be affected. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Communication with the county, Juniata has been a great partner with Huntingdon County, especially at the Commissioner's Office. As Mark said, with the KIZ and JSAIL, that was started by the Partners for Economic Progress, working with Juniata College. You look around, you see the volunteers, the kids out all the time, working the Day of Caring United Way. I've seen them there in Shirley Home, painting, doing different things, helping upgrade the technology down there. Another thing that they have helped on is Cold Springs Road out here. There was a grant come in through Southern Alleghenies for $500,000, and I know Juniata is very involved in fixing up that to make a safety improvement, and it will make traffic better to get into the businesses within here. So all I can say is it's been a pleasure working with Juniata since I've been commissioner. We've got to meet with Juniata. We come up here at meetings. They keep the community very informed what they're doing, as well as the community should keep the college informed of what's going on. It's all about communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stather, any follow-up?
We have the resources here in looking at Juniata, enhancing and using those resources for the betterment of the community would be a goal, and it is a two-way goal. It's the community as well as opening their arms to Juniata as it is Juniata going into the community.
Thank you. Our next question. Do you support the construction of a conference resort at Raystown Lake, knowing that a liquor license is required? And this question goes first to Mr. Waltz.
I do support the construction of a conference center at Raystown Lake. We need to do all we can to develop that area. However, the liquor license, they are something that's controlled by the residents of each township, and I think we need to honor the wishes of the township that resident.
Thank you. Mr. Seaver.
I believe Raystown Resort does have a conference center. It does not have a liquor license. I do believe that, as Mr. Walls pointed out, it is an option of the township as to whether to allow such a license. As a county commissioner, I would like to work with the township and work out some sort of system whereby the conference center at the resort and any future conference centers would be able to obtain a liquor license. It certainly would not necessarily add to the amount of alcohol on Raystown Lake by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, I would think we should work in that direction. These are the things that are required, and sometimes it's necessary to put aside your personal feelings and do what is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Yes, I'd support a conference resort. The commission's actually met with the developer. Preliminary hearings, it's very preliminary at the time, but any business resort coming into Huntingdon County I would support. But first off, just because I support it doesn't mean the community supports it. Any support, you go from the ground up. First you get the township on board, then the county, then regional, and then state. You have to have all partners on board working with your other departments departments and the planning commission, because the resort will come in. I mean, it's easy to say, okay, liquor license, this and that, but you have the planning, the zoning, the roads, the infrastructure. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle to make this happen. From what I know right now about the project, yes, it sounds very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sager.
I also would like to encourage additional development and conference center, the new conference center and resort as it's being proposed. It does have to go through a number of planning commissions and forethought prior to even the deployment of it. In terms of the alcohol or the liquor license, that is a township-based question. That is something that the local residents would have to decide upon. In terms of meeting and having and hosting those meetings, I think that's where it comes through from the planning commission. We're looking for additional resources to come in and enhance our ability to offer additional people to visit Huntingdon County. I would like to encourage that and do anything that I could to encourage that as well.
Thank you. And any follow-up comment, Mr. Walls?
As I said, I do support that. I think it is very important to develop that area, and I think if things are done right, people are educated, everything's laid out there, people in Huntingdon County are generally reasonable, and if you have a reasonable product, a reasonable project, we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Next question. Should the Huntingdon County Commissioners look to the Tea Party for ideas about how to govern? And this question goes first to Mr. Seaver. This is an audience question.
That's a very interesting question. I will have to admit that. I said at the outset when I first started in this as a write-in campaign, I was asked something very similar. The fact that I disagree primarily with almost everything the Tea Party stands for, which is not governing, as it turns out. That I'd be hard pressed to find those things that they might help you with. However, in one sense, I would ask them, if you actually have to govern based on your principles, how are you going to do it? How do you govern when you don't set any regulations, when you believe that there should be no regulations, when you believe that there should be no or almost no taxes and no programs and no money going anywhere else? No, I don't think I'd be asking them for a great deal of advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seaver. Next speaker, Mr. Thomas.
Repeat that question.
Yes, the question is, should the Huntingdon County Commissioners look to the Tea Party for ideas about how to govern?
As a county commissioner, you represent all parties. You represent the Republicans, the Democrats, the Tea Parties, and the Independents. You listen to what they have to say. You may not always agree with it, but I've always kept an open door policy with all the residents of Huntingdon County to hear what they have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sager.
Yeah, I too, in looking at that, you represent your constituents, in this case is the residents of the county. Open door policy, all ideas and everything is available is welcome. And through working together, again, it would be from Republicans, Democrats, the Tea Party, to whomever, by working together we can accomplish our goals that are set forth before us. By working independently, very little is accomplished.
Thank you, Mr. Walls.
The book of Proverbs says, if I can paraphrase, a wise leader seeks a multitude of counselors. And to say that someone from the Tea Party or whoever cannot have an idea that could be useful, I can't say that. Again, we work with everyone in the county. A good leader has to have an open door, but he also has to be approachable. And if I'm a commissioner, I'll be approachable by anyone who wants to come talk to me. Together, through listening and developing everyone's ideas, I think we can have a better Huntingdon County.
Thank you. Mr. Seaver, any follow-up?
Yes. First of all, I never said I wouldn't listen. And I certainly, if a good idea did come up, I would examine it. But anyone who has read my letters in the paper knows that I have my own ideas too. And I would certainly hope any commissioner would listen to some of my ideas as well. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question. What incentive would you offer businesses to come to Huntingdon County? And this question goes first to Mr. Thomas.
We have the Keystone Opportunity Zone with the Mount Union Business Park. We have the Enterprise Zone. We are limited on our options at the county level that we can put out there. We need help from the state with more options to give. We have, like I said, the Enterprise Zone, the KOZ. There's another program out there for new businesses that we've been looking into in the county. It's not for existing businesses. It's called LERTA, Local Economic Revitalization. That's another possibility. But it is. We're limited on what we can do as far as giving incentives for them to come in, other than offering quality of life we have here. And the quality of life we have here, we have people who want to move into the area. They want to retire and come here. So why not just retire and come here? Why not the young people come here and work and live here? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sager.
Thank you. Yeah, we learn from experience, and one of the things that we had learned in the past, and this is whenever it was the Elko division had gone and created, lo and behold, it was FCI, which is off of 522 in the industrial park there off of 522. There's tax incentives that were offered at the time. They had utilized those tax incentives and then had vacated the building, and in terms it was a depletion of a lot of jobs for the county. So we do learn from our experiences, but we need to enhance that. We have to put the Keystone Opportunity Zone to work, and it is a working development between the state and municipal. I want to offer something out there. It's called TIFs, Tax Incentive Fund. It's a joint cooperation between county, state, and the municipal to enhance and offer incentives for new businesses to co-locate or locate within the county. It takes cooperation to make that happen. And I would, based upon the experience that we gained, I would put agreements in place that if they vacate prior to an agreed upon time, then there would be a payback of those tax incentives. That's what we learned. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walls.
Again, we have to work with our elected officials, local, state, federal. We have to push them. We have to make them earn their keep and bring back tax incentives and other incentives to get business here. We need to promote. We have a well-trained workforce. We have relatively low wages compared to a lot of metropolitan areas. Our warehousing, told the other day, they'd almost give it away to get somebody in here. So those are different things we can work on. We need to promote our quality of life to people. We need to take a regional approach and work together. You know, we have an empty building and seating plant up in the Saxton area, and we have an empty New Holland building in Belleville. If we cannot get it here, and I know we can't, I'll bust myself to get it in Blair County, Bedford County, or Mifflin County, because we know we have a lot of folks leaving the county. So again, I want to do everything I can to promote Huntingdon County and get it here, but I think we have to work regionally, and I think that can go a long way. Thank you.
Mr. Seaver.
Well, Mr. Thomas pointed out we are limited in what we can and cannot do. Keystone Opportunities Zones are good ideas, but they're often poorly carried out. And they're poorly carried out because the state laws regarding it and the rules regarding the state are sometimes weak. The city of Philadelphia is owed hundreds of millions of dollars in back taxes through Keystone Opportunity Zones. Huntingdon Area School District, FCI, which has left the area. My son worked there for 17 years. They left the area, they owed a large sum of money, and it's virtually impossible to get it back. Yet, at the same time, if a plant does offer to come in, you have little choice but to say, yes, we'll do this, because if you don't, somebody else will.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, any follow-up?
I wouldn't be putting any additional restrictions on businesses coming into a KOZ. If we can give residents of the county even 10 years of employment, that is better than nothing. And as far as residents leaving the county, well, I want to see the tax base come to Huntingdon County, businesses come to Huntingdon County. I live down at the southern end. People are going to drive to Chambersburg, Hagerstown, and McConnellsburg to go to work. That's closer for them than to drive to Huntingdon or Mount Union to go to work. So you have to take everything when we talk about the regional approach. Up in the northern end, they're going to go into state colleges. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. That completes the questions period of our evening. There are many more questions here that we could have asked, and I have a very large stack. So I would like to invite now each candidate to have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. The order of response was determined by a random draw earlier this evening. We will first hear from Mr. Walls.
Thank you. Thank you all again for coming. I'm born here. I've worked here. Sometimes see where someone's going, but maybe it's good to see where they come from. My father, he served in Korea, was raised on a small farm, worked in retired from doing fiberglass, worked a couple other jobs aside to give this family everything we needed and some things that we wanted. My mother, when she was 3, her father left them, they lived in Mill Creek in the 30s. They walked to Huntingdon for their groceries. When she was about 7, her mother lost her sight and her hearing both, so she became a foster child. So I can appreciate those in need in this county. My mother also told me once that you have to learn to hoe your own row. So she was a recipient of much of what someone needs whenever they can't fend for themselves. But she realized whenever she grew up and could make it on her own that she needed to do that. And I think that's an important thing we need to remember. With our resources in Huntingdon County, we need to make sure they're allocated properly. Those who do not need resources, we need to make sure they do not take from those who definitely do. Again, I'm a lifetime resident. I am conservative, but I believe we have to have an efficient government. We have to have government that works. I've been told I'm a good listener. And again, we have to have a strong county government where we can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And we have to find the things that we can get together on and move this county forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sather.
Well, first, thank you for the evening. It is a good event. Definitely would welcome the opportunity to meet afterwards as well. My question here to you is, will your voice be heard? And I want to emphasize that. Will your voice be heard? Research by the Center for Voting and Democracy has shown that low voter turnout is most pronounced in off-year elections for state legislatures and local elections. For example, a 2013 study of 340 mayoral elections in 144 U.S. cities found that voter turnout in those cities averaged 25.8% of registered voters. Does this surprise you? Something that I know, 30% of those that are eligible to be registered are registered. So 30%, a third of your total population. And of that 30%, only 30% or 25% will turn out to vote, typically. So the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines majority rule as a political system in which the group that has the most members has the power to make decisions. As a voter, you can vote for 2 candidates in the general election. Please consider voting for myself, Mark Sather, as your choice for Huntingdon County Commissioner. My commitment to you is as a full-time county commissioner is to follow sound financial principles and provide leadership who who listens to and serves the residents of all of Huntingdon County. The county commissioners are elected to 4-year term. We sit on several boards, a number of agencies. The commissioner is your fiscal manager and steward for the county funds, providing leadership and direction. The county commissioner is your voice in representing the county and attracting new business to locate or expand in Huntingdon County. Who is your choice to represent you? As a 55-year-old lifelong resident and byproduct of the educational system in the Huntingdon school system, as well as Juniata College, class of '81, I would like to ask you to remember your vote is your voice to be heard. Vote Tuesday, November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. I have a vested interest in Huntingdon County. My grandparents lived here. My great-grandparents lived here. My parents are now elderly. They live here. I live here. My children live here. My grandchildren live here. I've tried to do right by serving the residents of Huntingdon County. I served 16 years on Borough Council just to show some of my community involvement. I served on Lions Club for over 30 years. I received the Melvin Jones Award, and that's an award, the highest award Lions gives, humanitarian and community service. I've helped the last 12 years with Hunter Lifetime Organization. What I'm trying to show by this is I just didn't wake up, and I served last year, 4 years as commissioner. I just didn't wake up and decided I wanted to serve. I've served the community all my life, and I want to continue doing so. I think we've made many great strides in the county. We've come up with initiative ideas. And when you look back at the record of what we've accomplished through renovations and programs in the jail, I think we've done very well. I'll stand on my record the last 4 years. If re-elected, I'll represent all the folks in the county in an efficient, courteous, and professional manner that they deserve. And I want to end with working together. We can move Huntingdon County forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker, Mr. Sieber.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the Young Dems, Young Republicans, Juniata College, media, all those people who made this possible, and all of you who came here tonight to listen. First of all, as a candidate, I have not actively sought contributions, nor have I expended large amounts of money, especially my own. I would not have done this even if it were available. There's too much money in politics. If you look at the reality of the situation I have as far as governmental institutions, I have as much experience as Mr. Sather and Mr. Walls. I have shown through my past experience my ability to plan, to work with others, to deal with complex information, and to communicate ideas and concepts. I've shown my ability to formulate new ideas and think outside the box. Whether you like it or not, I have brought new ideas to the table. I have appeared at every opportunity to present my ideas to the public and will continue to do so in an open and transparent fashion. If elected, I will keep an open door. I ask you to look past your party and your past affiliations. I ask you to look not so much at yesterday and the past, but at the reality of today, but most especially, I ask you to look toward tomorrow. I ask you to remember that the youth of today are the real future of Huntingdon County. Support me on November 3rd to attempt to reinvent Huntingdon County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before calling on Mr. Cole Wyatt and Mr. Toro for their closing remarks, I would like to say thank you to all of the candidates for their informative comments this evening, for their willingness to run as well and serve the people of this county. I would also like to thank our Juniata student leaders and volunteers for organizing and staffing this important event, and to Julia McMurray, part-timer, for her contributions as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming. Could I ask for a round of applause for the candidates? As well as facilities who helped set up. There will be a meet and greet after the debate. I believe there are coffee and tea and such outside, as well as a bunch of literature on campaign literature. The candidates have also agreed to stick around for a while for you to ask any other questions you may have, or go more into detail about anything you thought didn't get fully answered this evening. But yeah, thanks so much for coming, and I hope to see you at the polls on November 3rd.
Have a good night, thank you, and we hope to see you at the meeting, right outside. Have a good night.